We hike through the forests, the fields, and across streams. But atop the grassy peaks, we are struck with feelings from deep within our own dreams and memories. Memories that seem to call back to an ancestral past, and dreams that envision a brighter future. Today, Adventure Archives would reunite to once again explore the mystic patch of wilderness we know as Dolly Sods. Like everyone else, we woke up one day and suddenly it was already September. We didn't know how we got here or how time had passed so quickly.
But we had finally decided it was about time we all went on an adventure together. And the whole crew was here. Bryan, myself, Andrew, Thomas, and a special guest.
You excited?
Yeah. Anxious. Don't know how Sierra's going to do.
Guess we'll see.
How have you been?
As well as anyone could be doing, I guess.
Bumble edge, you know. Almost feels like the good old days.
Meet Sierra, my golden retriever, who would be joining us on her first backpacking trip.
We headed out onto the road to the east.
Back together again.
Can't escape each other.
Just like Then we arrived in West Virginia. We drove past small rural towns and through beautiful forested hills.
Despite the hilly drive, Sierra was fast asleep.
Now, we made our way onto country roads as we got nearer to our destination, Dolly Sods.
But there was one small hiccup. The trailhead we had intended to start out on actually had no overnight parking.
This is problematic. Okay, we'll follow you out.
We thought we could just park at the trailhead like the previous trailheads we've done at Dolly Sods, but apparently this is an actual wildlife refuge, so you need to get a permit first. Unfortunately, they're closed due to the pandemic, so we're gonna have to either find another way to get the permits or go to a different trailhead.
It's been 10 years and none of us has learned that.
We got the bystander effect, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because if we're by ourselves,
Speak for yourself.
It's really pretty. Hope we can see it.
we actually decided we're gonna do Bear Rocks instead. It's like a 40-minute drive to get to the parking lot, and Thomas has never been there before. We've all been there, so we gotta take him at some point. It was literally 30 trips ago that we went there last time.
Wow.
Was it? Yeah. Our intention was to see a completely new section of Dolly Sods. And that would still be happening for the most part, but we'd be starting at a very familiar trailhead. A little more crowded than last time we came here.
Yeah, surprising.
Yeah.
We grabbed our gear, got everything sorted, and headed out.
You guys excited?
Yeah, man.
Super excited.
Cannot wait.
Perfect day, perfect weather. Like the sky is so clear and so blue right now. It's unbelievable. Continuing the tradition of showing the crew of Adventure Archives Dolly Sods one by one. So many cute ways. The first time we came here, it just looked like something out of like Hyrule. Like only our wildest imaginations.
seeing it for the first time like this, it's just mind-blowing. Like, I cannot wait to get out there.
At the trailhead, we finalized our plans. We would be hiking west from the trailhead, then head onto the Raven Ridge and Rocky Ridge Trail, which we had never hiked before. From there, we'd head further south towards the Blackbird Knob before looping our way back out on familiar trails.
Immediately, we were greeted by the familiar views of the spacious grasslands, vibrant greenery, and distant wind-swept trees that we had grown so fond of.
Even for Thomas, the scenery was familiar in a different way.
I was telling Andrew earlier, as soon as I hit that trailhead and looked out, I seen that first shot from the first Dolly Sods so many times, it looked like I just got thrown into the video.
We were surrounded by lush late summer flora, like this delicate tawny cotton grass.
So Bryan, how does it compare to winter? I think I like this so far just because in winter the ground was just mush and wet all the time. You can tell it's a completely different season, but it still feels exactly the same in terms of when you're walking and the things you see.
The trail now took us up a familiar forested hill. So I'm noticing there's all these beech trees, which gives this little alleyway like a nice medieval feeling. But growing along the forest floor are these things called beech drops, which is a parasitic plant, kind of has this like translucent-ish orange brownish color, and they siphon nutrients from the trees using mycena of fungi. That's why they're that color, is because they don't need to be green to get energy from the sun. They just take it from the tree nearby.
So what is this right here?
This is just a little beech tree, which it might be a clone from a tree that's like shooting up.
Oh.
Yeah, either that or it's just a young beech.
And at the crest of the hill was a nostalgic view. This spot right here, when me and Andrew came here the first time, it was just so magical and dark and mind-blowing. Oh, I wonder what that is over there.
I feel like remember the rocks that we hiked through at the end of the winter trip?
Oh, that could be those, yeah.
From the top of the hill, we could see distant blue hills, contrasted by the greenery around us.
So what type of bushes are these?
Sort of berry bush.
They're not blueberries?
No, I don't think so, but I feel like I did see some blueberry bushes further back. And in fact, I see some leaves along the ground that kind of look like some sort of a blackberry bush. And I do remember finding blackberries out here last time, our first time here.
The evening sun shone down on us and the cool breeze filled us with energy.
We came to a familiar junction where Andrew saw some wild fruits.
Down here there's some blackberries, and they're actually nice and ripe. They're kind of smaller, and it doesn't look like the species I'm used to, but they are edible. I'm just gonna not eat them in case someone coughed on them or a dog peed on them.
Now, we made our way down a small hill and across a boardwalk leading into a spruce forest.
Was the campsite we stayed at right there, or?
Yeah, it's just up ahead.
Oh, okay.
Here, we crossed a creek, and Sierra seemed to not mind getting her feet wet.
And on the opposite bank was where we had camped during the winter a few years back.
Now that we're passing through this old campsite, it's a lot bigger than I remember. I kind of recall it as being like really cramped when it was just dark and snowing. We were so desperately trying to get that fire started. Just couldn't think of anything else.
And now we approach the campsite we had stayed at during our first time here. Kind of camped like just right off the trail here. It was like right here. Not an ideal campsite, but it worked.
Up ahead, we saw a strange pile of pine needles.
This is the woody ant nest, and they just kind of collect all this debris into a big pile. I think sometimes if they feel threatened, they'll release formic acid, which actually gives the ants, I think, a sour sort of taste. But I've seen some people do it where they spread a tarp out, fold the corners over, and then take clumps of this and throw it on the tarp. And what happens is all the ants get scattered, and they take all their eggs and put them under the folded over parts to keep the eggs under shelter. And then you can collect all of those and cook them and eat them like scrambled eggs.
Delicious.
Scrambled eggs? Nasty. Come on, dog.
A boardwalk now took us through a ferny section of the woods, though it looks like it had gotten quite a bit of use out of it.
The evening light and lush ferns gave the forest a serene feeling.
But just up ahead was something a little more exciting. Dude, coming up here, we're gonna get to one of my all-time favorite views of anywhere we've ever been.
Oh,
You remember this,
is that
right?
what's
Yeah,
next?
that's it.
We climbed up the wooded hill, making our way towards the sun-soaked crest. The dirt path led us to a wide open ball.
Look at this field.
It's pretty nice. It just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Beautiful. This is exactly like it looked in the video here. My only regret is that Sierra's a little too short to see past the bushes here.
You know what this is, though? This is the definition of the word freedom. Like, there is no better encapsulation of that.
Of everywhere we've been, I think this is still my favorite view.
It's gotta be up there at least.
The first time we saw it, it was so surprising. Like, it filled me with the possibility of all the things I could see, you know? Which is ironic because it's still my favorite thing. So nothing else has topped it.
It feels both exotic and familiar at the same time.
In the distance, we saw blue hills in the horizon as we descended into the valley below.
Before continuing on, we paused to rest and give Sierra a water break.
See, the problem with trying to give a dog water on the trail is if you give her too much, you can't put it back. So now all that water's gone to waste. That's in this bowl. That tail wag.
Then it was onward through the open meadows. Off to the side, we saw a white-tailed deer frolicking across the grasslands.
The trail ascended now, giving us a nice view of the hills behind us and the golden evening sun, which was a sublime sight. Well, I gotta say, I'm assuming I speak for everybody, but I am really, really happy to be hiking with other people again. Particularly you guys. But
I could do it without some of you. No, it's great.
All joking aside, it was great to be reunited with the whole crew, especially at one of our favorite places on Earth.
Just ahead on the path, we came by a trail intersection, one which we had passed by previously.
Whew. Quite a crossroads we're at.
Like the last time I was here, we camped pretty early, and all this stuff that we're doing right now is the second day. I'm kind of like losing track of where we are right now.
Typically, we went up here, turned left at the first junction, but we're gonna go past it, right?
Yeah. This feels like a place where like covered wagons would stop and like get some water for their horses or something.
I don't think this looks at all like what you'd expect West Virginia to look like. Maybe that's just my bias seeing similar landscape out in the West, but this is beautiful.
I felt captivated by the wide open spaces and grassy fields in a way I imagine the others had been their first times here.
This landscape was truly evocative. Some areas conjured up images of the Oregon Trail to the west, while others felt more like a landscape from a medieval legend. No matter where you hike, this place plumbs the depths of your dreams and memories to draw up endless nostalgia.
Up ahead, we came to another junction, where we would split from our original path. Okay, so we went this way last time, right?
And last time, wasn't this sign on the ground?
Oh, you know, it might have been, yeah.
These are the moments where you have to like remind yourself to be in the present moment and just take it all in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The setting sun's light only added to the feeling of wonder we were all feeling, especially those of us who were here for the first time.
How do you think Sierra's holding up?
You know, she's getting a little, I guess a little excited. She's still a puppy. She's only a year old, and so they get really distracted, kind of really hyper when they're in a new place. So for how old she is, she's doing really well.
We ascended another hill, and the sunlight glistened through pine trees.
We started to look for a campsite, and Andrew went scouting around on the open hillside.
Oh, yeah, nothing open enough. It just is kind of more of this brushy stuff that wouldn't be any good to camp in. I feel like the rocky ridge might have some open spaces people haven't taken, but we'll see.
Eventually, we came to another junction.
This will take us to the same place either way.
Well, let's stick together.
Let's take the open one,
Yeah.
the one that's more open.
We had been told the path to the left would lead to wooded campsites, but for some reason, we all decided to go right.
Here, the path was much muddier, but the open sky was alluring.
As we continued, dusk soon fell upon us, with the daylight's final vibrant colors.
Trail is a little bit ambiguous here. How's it looking over there, Thomas?
Very muddy.
I hear some voices, so hopefully that means there are more campsites around here. There's definitely some nice open rocky areas here, but I don't know if it's anything we can camp on.
There's some tall grassy area over there that we might be able to make work, but I'm just trying to find something that's a little bit more dog friendly to get us there.
Prospects for camping here seem less promising than you would think. We just ran into someone who said there might be one over a ridge in this direction where he saw some tents. He was camping in this direction and Thomas is scouting for something there. I'm just gonna look over here really quick and see if there's anything. I mean, this is nice and open, but it is all very rocky. Like, what about this patch here? Okay, that's kind of thick and shrubby.
Any luck?
No.
We eventually regrouped, realizing we had veered off track, and decided to continue on the Rocky Ridge Trail. Okay, so it looks like this is all private property, so even if we wanted to camp out here, we couldn't. We're gonna get back onto the Rocky Ridge Trail, go south a little bit, and then hopefully be able to find something. So the Rocky Ridge continues somewhere over there. Okay, actually looking at the GPS, I don't think that this is it. The Rocky Ridge Trail, I think, is a little bit more over this way.
I'm gonna get my headlamp out.
Yeah, I think that's a smart idea.
Eventually, we reached the junction the left path would have taken us directly to.
We should have taken left earlier. That was the actual trail that led here.
We were now in an open area with large boulders in the distance. Andrew went to check the rocks for any potential campsites.
The sky glowed brilliant hues of pink and blue as we kept investigating for campsites. Keeping in mind they had to be safe for the dog as well as for us. So those rocks were no-go?
I mean, it looked like there were some spaces we could figure something out. It wasn't ideal, no fire pit, but we'll keep that in mind just in case.
So there's definitely a campsite right there. Dude's got a fire. So we're gonna see if we can find somewhere over here.
It was mostly dense shrubby stuff here, so we went to check the rocks again.
Yo, this is by no means ideal, but we could make this work. I could put a tent there.
Here.
Put another one right here.
Relax.
Andrew was also investigating. Oh yeah, this would work. Yeah, I think so.
Thomas says he found a spot up ahead. I'm sure it is going to be more than 25% better than whatever we saw. I feel like Labor Day weekend was not this busy back in the day. If anyone's going to scrounge for a campsite at night, it might as well be us, right?
Eventually, we caught up with Thomas. There's other campers right there. They were gracious enough to let us stay here.
I say we sit down, have ourselves a snack.
Yeah.
You know, there's a irony in that we are in an unideal situation not because of our own mishaps this time. We got here perfectly on time.
Still great though. Still a great view.
It is really great, actually.
I want to give mad kudos to my dog for her first backpacking trip. She's a little anxious right now, but that's okay.
All things considered, there's not a lot to complain about.
Dusk faded away, and a brilliant display of stars appeared against the dark of night. Now, it was time to prepare dinner, settle into camp, and put up our shelters. We used the flame from Robby's stove and a piece of fat wood to ignite the fuel cube so we could each cook our own meals.
With the water boiling, it was time to cook my supper. Okay, so last time we were all together, you were talking about 3 sisters, like corn, beans, and rice. I got 3 sisters this time, and I put it in this plastic bag so they'd have more room to pack stuff. To the bag, I added the included oil, then gave it a good mix.
Make sure everything.
As that cooked, I chowed down on some simpler fare.
What are you eating, Thomas?
I am eating a very sad meal of just albacore tuna because I am hungry and don't have the patience to eat. What's Sierra eating?
Dog food?
Piece of cheese.
Oh, good for her.
And this is not bottom nor middle ramen, but top ramen. It is shrimp flavored, which I've heard some people make fun of for some reason. I feel like shrimp sounds good.
Who made fun of shrimp ramen?
Flavor sauce, some shrimp flavor, and some vegetables. I've got my oil as well.
While the ramen cooked, I had dug into some tuna that was a little bit more glamorous.
This was a bit of a last-minute Target purchase, but I gotta be honest, this thing is delicious. It's called Latin Citrus. It has wild tuna, quinoa, white beans, jalapeno, lime juice, cilantro, and veggies. And if you guys could try it, I'd want you to try it. But you can't try it, so I'm gonna eat it all.
Meanwhile, we drank the remaining hot water to warm ourselves up.
It's good for healthy.
I dinked it with the handle of beef.
Oh yeah, that's good times. Wow, it's actually cold outside. This is like the first time it's been cold since...
Land between the legs.
It's been so long since I've seen you guys in person, but it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like it's been just yesterday.
Now it was time for the Three Sisters.
Oh man, the flavors. If you guys know us, you know that we like to share our food. This is one of those times where I'm kind of sad I can't share it, but not too sad.
I am very embarrassed, very upset with how muddy my dog got, so I've spent the last 20 minutes just trying to clean her up so that she sleeps a little better tonight, but I'll get her nice and taken care of. She's having a blast, right?
Now it was time to indulge in the ramen.
Nice and almost al dente. Or as I call it, al dente.
Looks nice and steamy though.
Not super warm, but tastes almost top.
I'd say it's about midway to the top.
It's like the ramen fell off the top and you ate it on the bottom.
That soup is good though. It was like top 15 ramen, yeah.
So I'm having the pad thai after it was highly recommended by Robby. It smells really good. I put all of the stuff in the packets in there. So, it's a very mild saltiness, but you got all the flavors like the lime and the peanut butter. It's really good. It's definitely not like they're just typical salty hiking meal.
We milled around camp for a while. Then Thomas and I headed to our tents.
But Andrew and I would be camping a bit more rustically tonight.
Me and Robby are cowboy camping. I've got my tarp on the ground, plus an air mat, and my 0-degree bag, which I switched out last minute with my summer bag, and I'm actually pretty happy I did that. I think I'm gonna be nice and toasty.
I didn't. We'll see how much I suffer.
Yeah, good luck. I haven't slept in an air mat in a long time, and it's like really luxurious. It's gonna be a good night, super clear sky, camping with some fresh air. It's worth it.
As the night rolled by, a brilliantly orange moon peaked just above the horizon and began rising into the sky. Above us, one of the clearest Milky Ways we had ever seen hovered above our campsite, as though a guardian watching over our earthly realm. Safe with the company of the universe, we drifted off to sleep. In the morning, a rising sun cast the sky in hues of pink and orange. The valley beneath our camp was filled with a hazy morning fog.
As the fog dissipated in the morning light, we talked about how our nights went.
So last night was the moon so bright that you had to use a face mask. I had it like this last night. And it worked surprisingly well.
How was the cowboy experience for you?
It was great, actually. I was like nice and warm. I slept quite soundly. I had a dream about fighting people
But then there was like that dream thing where you can't like throw a punch correctly. You're like, why can't I do this?
I was just on the cusp of freezing to death. I wasn't like shivering, but it was cold enough that it was really hard to sleep. And I was like, am I gonna sleep? I brought this because it's been so hot on all the other trips. I just figured, oh, this one will be hot too, right? Wrong.
Yes, this was my first night with Sierra in a tent. I just kind of slept in the middle and she slept on the side. Kept each other warm.
Did she like just sleep soundly through the whole night?
I think she got up and turned her head around a few times, but she woke up, she was shivering a little bit, so I just opened up the door and she ran around and warmed herself up, like immediately.
Though the sun was out, it was still a brisk morning, and Sierra played catch and chased her tail a bit to warm herself up. She went off to wake up Bryan.
How'd you sleep?
Really good. How about you?
Also good.
Robby's just like dying.
I was somewhere in the middle between really good and bad.
Not content with just shivering, Thomas decided to brew something that would warm him up.
So, just for the audience at home, that is a cup of hot water and ramen seasoning. Am I correct?
It's broth.
Call it by the proper name, please.
I fully endorse this. You know, Captain Janeway will drink vegetable bouillon.
Yeah, Captain Catherine Janeway.
Yeah. Captain of the Starship Voyager.
That is good. Albeit spicy.
The moon hung over us as we enjoyed the rest of the morning.
And now, I was heating up water to cook up a dehydrated breakfast.
Those look like the scrambled eggs you'd get at like summer camp.
Let me just try one dried.
I was just tired.
That's surprisingly good. It's got bacon flavor because there's bacon bits in here. But maybe I'll wait for the hot water. It said to put a whole cup, but that seems insane. That'll do.
I had put less than the recommended amount of water, but it still seemed like slightly too much.
It also doesn't seem very fully rehydrated. Disappointed! It's not deep rehydrated enough, but it tastes good. I'm hungry. But yeah, you're not missing much.
You literally look like a character design out of Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, Andrew's new trail name is Jin.
You just need a samurai sword, and you can just be a wandering NPC.
We should bring Brian's walking cane / ninja sword.
You have a ninja sword?
Yeah.
Khajiit has wares if you have the coin.
You gotta get those over the shoulder shots to the face where it's like.
Now, we set off into the rugged wilderness.
We continued down the rocky ridge, and now in the sunlight, we plan to explore the rocks that were this trail's namesake. A small path veered from the main trail, leading to a large cluster of unique-looking boulders. We scrambled up the rocks to satisfy our inner explorer.
Looks like Thomas found a much better way to get up.
From atop the rocks, we retreated to an amazing view of vast valleys surrounding us. now, we continued on the trail and found some more interesting things.
Wait, there was a campsite here? We've been complaining about our lack of luck on a campsite last night, but it was literally like the difference between an A+ campsite and an A campsite.
Ahead on the trail, we found another intriguing rock formation.
Wow.
Whoa.
Look at these erosion-swept rocks.
There's a dog. This feels like an exhibit at a museum.
Look through here.
Hello.
Man, if I were solo camping, I would just lay my mat like right out here. Sleep on these soft pine needles.
Oh man.
We returned to the main trail, which led us through more surreal-looking rocks.
Growing from the sandy soil, I spotted a plant and made Thomas give one of the leaves a whiff.
I don't think I can smell anything.
Here, tear it in half.
Oh my gosh, that's peppermint.
All of this just growing out of this like lichen and rock is some sort of a wintergreen mint.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It's actually not in the mint family, but it produces a similar sort of smell.
Not just similar, I mean, it's...
Yeah, it's just like gum or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, wintergreen is distantly related to blueberry.
Said I would definitely not want to hike this place in the height of summer. It would be
Painful.
It would be a trial.
Got perfect weather today.
Though parts of the trail were shrubby, others revealed still more majestic rock faces that dwarfed us.
These large sandstone and quartz rocks have been given a unique look thanks to the forces of nature. Wind smooths them over, while water and ice cuts divots into and splits the rocks, turning them into nature's own abstract sculptures.
Ahead of the trail, we were treated to another amazing view. Then, we found an area nestled in the trees perfect for a snack break.
So I've got these shiitake mushrooms. They're like dehydrated. It's kind of like a mushroom snack, which is totally up my alley. So I've got this separate bag that I haven't even touched yet. Oh.
You know those Snyder's? Yeah, you know the butter.
Snyder's bits, like the pieces.
Here.
That's similar to that, only mushroom.
No. There's actually no real mushroomy flavor. Like, if you've ever had shiitake mushrooms, there's none of that.
I get a hint of mushroom when I eat it, but it tastes like those Asian rice cracker snacks, you know?
Now, these are delicious. I am thoroughly surprised.
I know. Someone also described it as like a salty meringue. That's good though.
Now, we continued on. We hiked past several more huge boulders, which revealed more amazing views behind them.
Okay, I'm gonna have to downgrade our campsite yet again. It was a B- at best compared to this.
Wow.
That this trail was as amazing as it was, on top of the already incredible landscape of Dolly Sods, was a testament to how beautiful nature can be. And this beauty can be found atop a hill peering at a vista, or at the bottom of the forest floor.
Okay, so this down here is a russula mushroom. One of the characteristics that are common in russulas is this brilliant red color on top and gills that you can almost see from the top side of the mushroom. This isn't universal among all russulas by any means, but it's something that will definitely stand out. And I've never been great at distinguishing species of Russula. That means I don't ever try to eat any because there are some that are edible, but there are very similar looking species that are very poisonous. But either way, they're a nice pop of color in the forest. Thomas is out of water, and we're not gonna see water for a while besides this.
At least according to the map, like a guaranteed source of water is not for a while.
And a small trickle of water like this might be questionable sometimes, but I actually think it's perfectly fine. The main reason being that it's flowing through a bunch of like sphagnum moss, which is a plant that will purify water, at least to some extent. Obviously we'll still filter it and everything, but... Okay, to be fair though, this water does have the same color as Bear Grylls' favorite drink. All the survival books say just because water's clear doesn't mean it's safe to drink. I'm pretty sure it's fine to drink.
Dude, on my last trip, I drank water that was more colored than that, so...
Yeah.
And I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't think there's any actual correlation between color and like Giardia.
It's got a slight like nature-y taste, but it really doesn't taste bad at all. Like maybe a little muddish. You can obviously tell there's this very, very slight taste, but it doesn't taste like something that, you know, would be bad.
With a bit of extra water, we continued on and came by another beautiful campsite in a grove of spruce trees.
Whoa! That is a campsite, yeah.
Shame we can't stay here.
It's got a bed. One person could sleep there, other person could sleep here.
Look at this, there's a ritualistic...
Korok seed somewhere here.
Yeah.
My mom's always big into fairy gardens, and that looks just like it. What do you think, Sierra? Come on.
Okay, we should continue to go right. Yeah, this is Beaverview Trail. No, Dobbin grade, okay.
We had come to another junction, took a moment to get our bearings, and continued on.
And along the trail, I had come across some ripening huckleberries. Joining us on the path was some sort of a caterpillar, likely a sphinx moth.
As we hiked, the afternoon sun was bearing down on us, and the cool morning air was long since gone.
One nice thing about yesterday was that we didn't get here until 4, so all of the heat had already died off. I'm definitely feeling it more than I did yesterday.
I'm actually trying to pace myself. I feel like as long as I pace myself, I won't get too tired or too sweaty. And that'll probably be better in the long run.
The last campsite we saw had 2 chairs, this one has 3, so now we gotta find one with 4.
We don't need to find one with 4.
No, yeah.
I'm sure we can make somebody stand.
The trail took us up an open hill, where we saw some impressive cairns that somebody had constructed.
This is like the Stonehenge of Dolly Sods or something.
That's actually like kind of cool.
But it would have taken a while to make that.
Wait, there are cairns going here. I wonder if this is actually a trail. I don't know, I love whenever you're at the top of a crest of a hill and you just feel that mountain breeze all over you. It's like one of the best feelings in the world.
So according to the GPS, this is the Valley View Trail, and we can take it parallel to the Rocky Ridge Trail, which is what we are on. And I mean, the view looks amazing, so we might as well take it.
With a name like Valley View.
Yeah.
After enjoying the view, we were on our way. All along, there were magnificent views of the valley below, and the trail went right up against the edge of the wilderness.
Do you feel like this is definitely the time of day where all living creatures should just be napping? You know what I mean?
Whenever you're hiking, this is always when the sun's just beating down on you and wiping you out, you know?
I can kind of see it in all of our faces. It's kind of dragging.
So down here is one of the first plants I ever identified on Adventure Archives, and it's sheep sorrel. It tastes a lot like wood sorrel in the sense that it's kind of this like mild but sweet and sour kind of taste. It has these little prongs coming off at the base of the leaf that kind of look like the horns of a sheep. They taste really good though. And there's lots of clumps here.
Eventually, we made it to the cut-through trail that would take us back to the Rocky Ridge Trail. And on the way, Andrew had an interesting find.
So I keep seeing these shrubs everywhere. They have a nice like umbel of berries, and if these are poisonous, I can see how people who are starting in the wilderness would want to poison themselves because they look nice and juicy.
They look like little mini apples. You're like, oh yeah.
You know, I actually think it looks like something that might be in the apple/cherry family based on what the leaves look like. But as per usual, the narrator will fill us in.
Turns out it was actually wild raisin, or Viburnum nudum, which is in a different plant family.
Okay, Rocky Ridge. Let's do it.
We got off the Rocky Ridge Trail and headed onto the Harmon Trail. We passed by an interesting-looking cairn.
Is that thing glued together? It's like...
No, that's pretty impressive,
crazy.
though. Harmon Trail is 1.4 miles. I say we try to get as far as we can to Blackbird Knob, but if we see a good campsite before then, we just take it.
Especially on S-rank campsite, you know? We're not skipping any S-rank campsite.
Shrubs surrounded us on the trail, and cicadas chirped loudly. We all walked at our own pace as we set into our afternoon tiredness.
Okay, well, somehow we're all hiking alone again. Bryan and Andrew are back that way. Thomas is up ahead with Sarah. Oh. We'll just keep going.
This trail has been thick and shrubby and really narrow like this for several minutes now. But I feel like we're getting into a lower land area now. And I'm hoping that means we'll find some nice pine forests or at least grassier campgrounds somewhere around here. But on top of that, the footing is not great because it's just a bunch of like rocks scattered all around. It's kind of like dizzying hiking on this for a while.
We kept hiking, surrounded by laurels, striped maples, and flowers like this flat-topped white aster. Eventually, we caught up with Robby.
I think Thomas just bolted for the exit.
Oh, Thomas is just gone?
I've been keeping up a fairly decent clip. Absolutely no sign of him.
Yeah,
Whew,
this trail is unending.
I'm thinking as we get lower, we'll find some good campsites soon, though.
We noticed the environment subtly changing around us as we continued hiking.
All right, finally we're getting out of all this scrambly stuff and there's some actual trees and forests. And my little spidey sense is tingling. I feel like we might come up on a campsite. I hope so, at least.
We soon caught up with Thomas at the next junction.
We got here at 2:38.
That's a while ago.
2:54.
How do you hike so fast?
Just downhill.
Your dog looks beat.
Yeah, there's a stream up ahead.
Excellent. Fill up and then next stop campsite, no matter what.
Yeah, there's actually a campsite right up there.
Oh,
Let's go take it.
That's what Google Maps says at least.
our journey is over already.
Whew, thank goodness. There's a whole swath of pine trees over in that direction. Well, spruce technically, but I feel like that is a promising area for everything we're looking for.
Come to think of it, the first time we came here, that's how we found water.
Yeah.
Is we looked for pine trees and we're like, oh, if there's a bunch of pine trees over there, there's got to be like a water source nearby.
Off in the distance, we could see some fire rings and the stream running through the forest.
I remember this, and I do think there are some good sites here.
Cool.
We descended the hill leading into the pine forest. Already, we saw other campers setting up and cooling off by the river.
We kept our eyes peeled as we entered the comforting grove of spruce trees.
If there's not a beautiful campsite in here, then I have no faith in the universe anymore.
Shall we?
Yes, we shall. Wow, this is beautiful, dude, right next to the lake.
What rating do you give this? I feel like a solid A.
Yeah, this is not a S tier, but it's definitely A tier.
Finally, we unburdened ourselves and relaxed as we took in our surroundings.
Then, we started setting up our shelters.
It was perfect weather to sleep under my tarp. To stake down my shelter, I whittled down some sticks lying around camp.
I'd be sleeping in a tent, but in the meantime, I was setting up a hammock to relax in.
With our shelters set up, we followed Sierra to the river.
Sierra's energy definitely came back once she had a chance to cool down in the water, and she was filled with a playfulness that matched her surroundings.
Ooh, that's cold. How are you not cold?
Sierra. Oh my God. This feels so good. Good to be back. Sierra, come.
After wading in the river and humoring the dog with some tug-of-war and fetch, we started to fill up on water.
So we didn't have any lube for our pump, but fortunately we found a good system. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It was an incredibly peaceful late afternoon. We all milled around camp, relaxing before settling into the evening.
And while we rested, Bryan came up with a unique way to luxurify his camping experience.
Bryan's like a newborn baby. Pink.
As the evening went on, it was time for dinner, so we needed to boil some water.
We usually boil water that we've already filtered, but since we got a water source right here, there's no reason to waste all that effort, especially since pumping was so hard. This is kind of steep though.
Getting the water was the easy part. Getting out.
Okay.
I don't know how this happened exactly.
So if you're worried about the water being dirty, first, if you have a bandana, you can use that as a filter initially for like large particles. If you put the open side facing downstream, then that means the water won't flow directly into it, so you can also avoid a lot more sediments that way. So just some tips to keep in mind.
For dinner, I'd be enjoying some unique noodles that our viewer Xing Chan gave us.
Now for the sauce, it says adjust amount of sauce according to personal preference.
So all of it. Ooh, that looks nice.
This is like...
It looks like Den Den noodles or something.
Like simple noodles to a ridiculous degree.
Wish I could try that. Really smell the sesame oil in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Whoa, these are interesting noodles. They just wrap themselves around.
How is it besides hot?
It was real good.
Let me love you, dog.
Okay, so since we're all eating our own meals, I went easy with the instant noodles. And this one is tempura udon noodles. This is clearly not udon noodles on the cover though. This is just ramen, isn't it? Nice udon flavor. Little bits of seaweed in there too. So here are the 2.5 tempura bits that came with the noodles. Tempura's kind of spongy. It's good though. The broth is really good actually. It's very like clean and clear kind of broth flavored. Green onions add a nice touch too.
Is this your only dinner for the night?
I've got one other cup noodle.
Wow, so you went full cup noodle this time.
Yep.
You know what's funny is that the saddest part about this pandemic for me really is not being able to share food. So many times I've wanted to throw this sandwich at Bryan.
So the saddest part about the pandemic isn't sharing food, it's throwing food. And I would be having some sweet and spicy sausage pasta from Hawk Vittles. I'm gonna give it a shot here.
It's actually really good. It's got a lot of spices, and I think that sweetness is coming from like the onion. I probably could have cooked it with a little more water, but it's actually really good.
I'm hating even more that we can't share.
We all rested in the cool, early evening light. It was great to just have the free time to do nothing without a care in our minds. A simple pleasure not afforded to people often enough.
Especially these days, this kind of living can seem so far away. But since our first time here, we felt how nature can give you a glimpse into a better way of living. Stress and anxiety and an obsession with work are not natural. The peace that you feel in a forest is.
As the evening rolled in, some friendly hikers visit us at our campsite.
Mike.
Mike, here.
So I'm just glad to see you guys out on the trail. That's awesome.
it's good to see you.
You're like celebrities to the YouTube world with the hiking. So
Like D-list celebrities.
all right, well, you guys have a nice night.
Yeah, you too.
And then we ran into Micah and Josh, two other viewers of the show.
Shout out to Lyle. We're meeting up with Lyle for our 3-day trek. Shout out to Mom and Dad. But no, I just wanted to say, love your guys' channel.
Thank you.
It's nice to see like people doing exactly what I'd be doing.
Okay, so we've got little packets of wasabi green peas.
I'm a little wasabi green pea right now.
So
you are.
After enjoying that snack, we decided to make a small fire to warm us up this evening, and a previous camper had left some wood nearby.
So these were just sitting here.
yeah,
They seem wet.
some of them are okay. I mean, I'm thinking of using the big pieces for a base, so it might be okay.
With the help of a bit of fat wood and birch bark, we ignited some flames. After that, we added some dry kindling, which is especially easy to find in conifer forests. For a moment, it looked like the flames would die out, but eventually, the wood caught fire.
There you go. Okay.
Oh man, it's so good to be back with you.
Fire almost didn't want to start, but then it remembered who was starting it.
It thought it was me at first.
The fire brought warmth as the late evening air cooled us down. We enjoyed the sounds of its crackle amid the babbling of the nearby stream.
Soon, dusk fell upon us as the clouds rolled through the sky. Tonight, we would be enjoying a traditional Chinese treat, a mooncake. This one was filled with lotus paste and a salted egg yolk.
Cheers. Happy Lunar Festival. It's called Zhongqiujie. By the time this episode airs, it's going to be the Harvest Moon Festival, or Mid-Autumn Festival is actually what it literally translates to. It happens around October on the normal calendar, but the Lunar New Year, it's like August, I think. And there's usually a full moon. These mooncakes, there's all sorts of different kinds. There's some that have like lotus paste in them, some that have red bean paste, but these ones have salted egg yolk. I think technically a duck egg yolk. And these are the best kind because the saltiness mixes with the sweetness. But what do you guys think?
I'm about to try.
He shoved the whole thing in his mouth, man.
I had these before when I was a kid, and I wasn't a huge fan of them, but that tasted way better than I remember.
These are really rich. These are really good.
I was surprised by how salty that was.
Yeah.
In no way, shape, or form was that like a creamy, custardy experience that I was thinking. That was just a hard yolk. Thank you. So this is actually really important to me that I got to try this because when I was a kid on PBS there was a show called Sagui, the Chinese cat, and they kept on trying to find the mooncakes, and the mooncakes were like the topic of the whole episode.
It's funny that you live next to us and never had them.
You said the name was Sagui. I think it might have been Sagua.
Sagua.
Right. Like that means like
some sort of melon.
Idiot.
Yeah,
Foolish melon. Yeah.
That's what my dad calls my sister.
We have to thank my mom for these. She went out to like a Chinese store and got some really good ones.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Mrs. Lin, for letting me live a childhood fantasy.
Which is, again, kind of funny it took this long when you lived.
I was spoiled. The biggest thing I miss is not being able to go to your parents' place for dinner.
Yeah.
We let the fire flicker away for the rest of the evening. It would soon be time to head to bed.
But before that, someone needed some comforting.
Sometimes Sierra just wants me to hold her paw. I'm not quite sure why. She'll just kind of pat at me and I just hold it and then that calms her down.
You're being serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
She'll get bored after a while and pull it back, but...
Before heading to sleep, we sat around the fire for a little bit longer.
So yeah, I do most things like by myself, no problem. But this like experience, like you don't realize how much you miss it until you don't have it. You're like, oh my God, yes.
But I just miss being able to like be in a completely different place and meet people and talk to strangers at like a bar or a restaurant or something like that. Being in the buzz of other people.
You know, there's something to be said when we do our post-hike meals and we find a local restaurant and the food is important, but at the same time, what's the atmosphere like? What are the people talking about? What are they like? That really kind of gives us a sense of that travel culture that you get. Yeah. And sadly, we just can't get it these days because of everything, but...
Yeah, it's like there's been periods of this trip where it's like you just completely forget about all the things going on, kind of sink back into that part, like back when we used to hike and we didn't have to worry about like anything like that. It's nice.
And it's also a good reminder everything in the natural world is just carrying on, which is actually something that struck me the first time we ever went backpacking, was like the realization that there would be a deer in the forest or a squirrel or whatever, and no matter what personal stress you were having in your own life, the universe just continues on without any care about that. And it's kind of comforting in a way.
So this campsite, did this reach S tier or was it?
I'd say this is A tier. I would put yesterday's campsite, if we got there a little earlier, on S tier.
Oh. It's a good metaphor for us talking about traveling while we're on an amazing camping trip. It's like we should really be here now and be thankful for what we have.
I'm quite thankful, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good times.
Good times.
Sierra, are you ready to go to bed? Yeah, she's sleeping right here. I think it's time to go to bed.
Sounds good.
Yep.
It was a quiet, cool morning. One by one, we all woke up.
To warm Sierra up, I tossed around her tennis ball.
She'll get this one. This will be an easy one. Good girl. Drop.
Andrew looks like a slug that's like slowly escaping, like a hole or something.
And I had my own means of warming up.
Do you feel warmer or do you want to die now?
I just feel 1 degree warmer.
Eventually, the sun came out and we let ourselves thaw in its life-giving rays.
Get some good sun.
And in the trees nearby, I noticed an interesting sight.
We woke up this morning and walking around and I saw the spider web here. It's got this gnarly looking configuration where nothing really makes sense. When I used to live in California, we saw these a ton. This would be indicative of a black widow web. Can't see any black widow spiders around here. Might have left or it might be hiding somewhere, but just keep on the lookout, I guess.
Yeah, I've never seen a spider web look like that before.
Yeah, that's what a black widow spider web looks like.
Crazy.
Either that or orange orb web weaver had too much to drink. It's not a real spider.
We could all feel ourselves perking up as the morning sun continued rising, giving everything around us an ethereal glow.
I collected some water from the river for a morning brew. I had some hot water, while Andrew drank spruce needle tea.
It's gonna be a bit of ramen flavor in here too.
I'm not going to hold on to that.
I'll do it. Are you sure you're going to burn yourself?
No, I know what I'm doing.
Look at that. The master.
Really hot.
Oops. Almost still burned you. Dick.
Smells like vitamin C. Why is pine needle tea so mild now? First time I ever had it, it was so strong.
Yeah, it was. It's weird.
Maybe we needed a dog to pee on it.
And what's you guys' breakfast options for today?
A granola bar.
I started the meal with a nice powdery mashed potatoes. Paired that nice with some pretzel nut bar. And for the finish, I'm going to end with 2 leathery fruit ropes.
Mashed potatoes for breakfast sounds like the worst breakfast I could imagine.
I'm really not.
Now, we broke camp and got ready for the day's hike.
Along our hike, I saw this woolly velvet polypore.
As we hiked through forests and out into open meadows, the fresh, crisp air lifted our spirits.
Feels like heaven out here. Sounds like heaven too.
I still can't get over just how perfect the weather is.
Like literally, again, like barely a cloud in the sky.
It's a big factor in making a trip enjoyable.
The trail had brought us out into an idyllic meadow. In the grass, we saw an old bone.
We also saw some distinctive trees.
So these are quaking aspens, and I believe they have that name because just like eastern cottonwoods or big-tooth aspens, their leaves will shake in the wind really, really distinctly. Anytime I see a tree like this, it just makes me think of like either the west or the far north, and it just adds to this like heavenly kind of feeling that this environment already has.
Up ahead, we saw a cousin of the quaking aspen.
So this is another type of aspen, and the leaves kind of quake in a similar manner, but if you look closely at the leaves, they have these large serrations in them, which is why it's called the big-tooth aspen.
We kept hiking, and the trail took us through tall meadows and beech forests.
So we came across the junction and we could take a detour to see the Blackbird Knob, but we've already seen some great views, and some people here said that they saw pictures on the internet. It wasn't like spectacular, so we're thinking skip the detour and just keep going on our trail.
So that would take us straight, and the knob is to the left.
Here, come on. Let's go. Come on. Good girl. Come on.
All right, so earlier I saw some parchment fungus, and growing on this log are some orange mycena mushrooms. I actually see these growing on beechwood a lot, and there's a ton of beech trees. This is definitely a beech branch. Gives the forest a really unique look. And I just love how they have this super bright orange color, and especially in the sunlight, it especially pops. And if you touch them, sometimes that pigment will rub off on your fingers. It's not known to be edible, but every time I do see it, I want to eat it.
We also saw some young striped maple saplings and some mushrooms, including these colorful wax cap mushrooms.
So there's a bolete mushroom growing here. It's still pretty young, but I believe it's Boletus bicolor, but I'm not 100% sure. One way you can tell though is by cutting it and seeing if it'll change colors. And you can see this is rapidly changing into a blue color as soon as the air hits it. But on the outside it's got like this yellowish, reddish, orangish color.
Wow.
So my understanding is that because it changed into a blue color so fast, it's actually not Boletus bicolor. I believe bicolor does stain blue, but much more slowly. And if it stains this quickly, then there's a chance it's not a very edible mushroom. It's eye candy though, that's for sure.
There was also Clavellina cristata, or white coral fungus, growing from the pine needles.
We emerged out of the woods and came to another junction.
Yeah, we're gonna go up to the Red Creek Trail.
And Thomas took note of more quaking aspens growing here.
This whole area reminds me of the Eastern Sierras because of how these leaves would change color in the fall time. And in fact, that's the namesake of Sierra.
In the fall, they turn this brilliant golden color. That's like, I think, one of the most beautiful things to see.
Dude, those leaves are like nothing else.
Yeah.
The way they shiver and shine.
I really associate Dolly Sods with the color yellow, and a big reason is because of all these goldenrod. But they're all very, very beautiful. Also, if you find a dried up stalk, you can use that as a hand drill for friction fire.
More and more goldenrods and bracken ferns surrounded us as the trail wound us through more vast, open meadows.
The bright sun and beautiful landscape seemed to perfectly capture how we all felt on the inside.
We came to another grove of young aspen trees.
Then we entered a forest and encountered some soggy, muddy ground.
This is took us on a secret trail. Avoided all this mud right here.
Yeah, it's pretty soddy over here.
Secret trail.
Oh. Good work, Sierra.
Yeah. Andrew, there's a trail to your left.
Oh, I see.
Up here that Sierra discovered. Avoids all this mud. Good dog.
Before long, we were back in the sunshine.
This is my favorite aspect of Dolly Sods, is that you come up to these big open areas and suddenly you feel like you're in an entirely different landscape.
It was this sort of landscape that made us wish we could stay out here another night.
Found this perfect little campsite, which, first of all, the feeling I have with this weather and this openness and being at a campsite like this is the best feeling in the world. But not only is it a nice campsite with a nice fire ring, they even have like your tinder, they've got some dry grass, some birch bark, some kindling. Whoever was here last was leaving a gift for the next campers. I hope the next people who stay here appreciate what the last people left behind.
More aspens, with their distinctive white bark, greeted us as we approached a lower lying area.
Here, we stopped at a creek to fill up on water and cool off.
And we all shared in some fruit leathers before moving on.
We continued through the fields of tawny cotton grass, which made the landscape all that more whimsical.
All right, so this whole trip, Robby has been going on about how this is his favorite place to go. And the only time I've ever come was in the middle of winter. And it was still a fun trip, but with this kind of weather and these views, this is definitely the time to go. Now I can see why, you know, the first time you came here, you would say this would be your favorite place in the world. This is beautiful.
We passed by another junction and soon found ourselves in the infamous stream where we had dunked in significantly colder weather.
Because that's where Andrew stood.
I remember it well. Yo, I'm just going full solo dolo. I'm going for it. We got no time to wait.
Andrew and I took different but more deliberate approaches to crossing the stream.
See who's faster.
Wow, they added the cheating platform. That's new.
Yeah. Ain't no cheater.
I kind of still want to just dunk. That'd be great. But we'll keep going.
I'm down if you're down.
Yeah, we're going for it. All right, for old time's sake, you ready?
I'm ready.
Wait, am I going face first? No, I'm going back first. Are you ready? Oh, oh, ah. Oh, hello, doggy. I'm gonna give it a go. Here, come on. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, no.
Too much. Woo! Oh, that is great. Oh.
The dip in the stream left us feeling ecstatic, and we weren't the only ones.
Yeah, you're a happy dog.
Now we continued onto the trail, which led us up a hill.
Okay, this section of the trail was not looking familiar to any of us. We checked the GPS. This is a trail, but it's not marked on any of the maps. We got to go back down, and I'm pretty sure we're about to get very soggy, even more than I already am.
Sure?
Not 100% sure. No, that muddy path is the path.
Oh, that's the path?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is it. Yeah, if memory serves, this is going to be real muddy. It's possible that's a new trail so that you don't have to take this muddy trail anymore. But I don't know where that would lead to. If anything, it probably leads to the road, but way further south than where we want to go. So, I mean, we probably could have saw it through, but here we are. Just give in.
Ooh, I gave in.
The bog nearly got the best of Bryan.
I think Bryan just went like knee deep.
The trail was incredibly muddy. Some areas were nearly impassable, especially for a short dog.
The views were beautiful here, but we were too distracted making sure the swamp didn't swallow us whole.
The trail had become even muddier since last time we were here. Before long, it was getting the best of all of us.
Good. Yes.
It's like with this trail,
when you first start out, you're like, oh, I don't want to get foot deep in this. And you're like, well, I'm not waist deep. That's pretty good.
Now you're just like, I want to get through this.
Eventually, we decided to just head out towards another trail, completely bypassing the mud.
Yeah, it looks like it wraps around over here. Perfect. Well, this is definitely some sort of route around that people have started to forge. Still going in the right direction, at least.
For whatever reason, Andrew decided to brave the main trail.
How's it look down there, Andrew?
Not too bad so far. All right, the other guys went up an alternate path that is supposed to bypass this mud. So far, this trail's not too bad, but we will see.
Of course, not too bad was relative.
Ooh, I'm gonna go over here, actually. It does sound like they've made progress a bit faster than I have, though, so.
If you want, there's a path right up here.
I guess I might as well.
Yeah, Dobbin grade. I give it a D-.
It's like when someone does badly at something, you're like, you got a Dobbin grade right there.
Alrighty.
I'll tell you what, having a dog with you, it's like when you're playing Mario Kart and they got the auto guidance system on. She's like, she knows exactly where the trail is, no question about it. She just pulls you right where to go.
Wow.
Good girl.
This is one of those trails where it's like more mentally and emotionally exhausting than it is physically. It's like you're using so much brain power to try and find a good way through.
Look, this seems pretty clear.
Yeah, I cleared up. We continued on and came by a nice little campsite.
We finally reached the next junction, where we all took a much-needed break.
Well, the good news is it's only 0.7 miles back to the trailhead.
Oh, great. Wow, really?
Yeah. Well, there is bad news. We have to walk up to the car after that.
Not taking this trail again. This is
Definitely not.
Not a good trail.
Everybody had to experience it once.
Some
more
of
than
us once.
3 times.
But that was the worst.
Yeah.
This is pretty good, though.
Good payoff.
Now, with our spirits raised, we continued on our weary legs towards our destination. Henry David Thoreau once said that in wildness is the preservation of the world. 7 years ago, we came here seeking an answer to the question, what is it that's lacking in our civilized lives that wilderness has to offer?
In this strange time, this question is more pertinent than ever. In the embrace of wilderness, we find a special connection, not just to nature, but to our own humanity.
Beneath the forest canopy and amid the fields, we experience a kind of lifestyle that brings to us the highest highs existence has to offer. We reenact ways of living that was a reality for our hunter-gathering ancestors for tens of thousands of years.
We experience a life of togetherness, a peaceful, communal way of living, where resources are shared and everybody is taken care of.
We tend to think destruction, inequality, and violence to be innate human traits. We see the problems of the world as unavoidable flaws in human nature.
But for the vast majority of human existence, we have lived peacefully among each other and the planet. Plenty of anthropological studies have suggested this to be true. And when you camp out atop the grassy peaks of Dolly Sods, that truth becomes so tangibly felt, it pours out of every stream, radiates from every rock, and shines out from the treetops.
I know that you can see. Hold on to this feeling. It won't last for long.
In wildness is the preservation of the world. It's time that we paid attention.
Okay, me and Thomas are gonna go get the cars and swing back. The hanger is at full force right now, so.
111% right now. It's good that Robby and I are separating ourselves from the herd.
So there's 2 black cars up ahead on the right side, all by themselves. With any luck, those are me and Thomas's car, and that's how far we parked initially. A slight inconvenience at the start, but a great help at the end. First car, that is definitely our car, is on the right. Cars are a little caked. Still very happy to see the cars. Oh yeah. Bumbleway and Tuna. This is Will and Sierra, and they are going to give us some food recommendations. This is very exciting.
Aloha, guys. Sirianni's Cafe. Let's get a big 1.5 thumbs up to my Adventure Archives guys here. Much love to you guys, and keep doing what you're doing. This is what everyone should be doing right now. Stay cool, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so we got Sirianni's pizza. Oh no, we should have gotten mediums, Brian.
Oh no.
Well, Thomas is a little bigger. Okay, I don't care. I'm so far beyond hungry. Woo.
Oh, oh, good. Oh, real good though.
Tastes like a home cooked pizza. The ingredients are fresh. Good.
Oh, look on home cooked pizza.
What?
We also got lemonade. The milkshake factory.
Ah. Ooh yeah. Got my lemon linguine, but also this lemonade is like a godsend right now.
Woo! Wow, good man.
Oh man, that is life-giving water. These mushrooms are actually really good. I mean, of course I would say that, but
So me and Brian got the triple X, which just has a bunch of meat and stuff on it. What did you get?
Cheese. So much cheese. It's amazing. Woo! This is like feta and all the other good, true, authentic cheeses.
Distant stink. Stink. What is Sierra's post-act meal?
It was kibble, but she ate all the kibble in the car. I gave her some extra kibble because she was really good. And she's just not hungry.
Anyone want some garlic bread? I can tear it like.
Yeah.
Yep.
The climbing wall. We want to give a thank you to everybody because we have finally hit 100,000 subscribers. It has been 6 years since we started Adventure Archives.
Actually, 7.
7 years since the first
Yeah.
episode that was filmed.
And we just want to say a hearty thank you to everybody out there watching. We thought we'd do a little unboxing here of this special gift. Actually, this is Thomas's.
Now look at this. This is thick.
Blinding.
Oh my gosh.
We just want to give a thanks to every viewer and every supporter and anybody who's, watched our videos because we couldn't have done this without you, obviously. I think we have like one of the best YouTube communities out there.
I think we do.
Definitely.
I mean, this trip alone, we ran in three groups.
Yeah. And everybody's always just like so nice and like willing to like help. And
this is as much your trophy as it is our trophy because it takes 2 to tango.
It takes 100,000.
100, yep, 100,000.
It's been a interesting trail metaphorically to get to this point, but none of it would have been possible without all of you watching us just walking on a trail and talking. So, thank you so much, seriously.
Keep following us. We'll get another good 5 years, 6 years of content out of it.
I want to say like here's to 1 million, but that number is so impossibly daunting that
No, we'll say it.
Okay, yeah, well, here's a 1 million.
Woo! All right, let's go home.
All right.
It's really hot.
Now hold it over your head like the Triforce.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves. Today we'll be exploring the Scottish town of Dartmoor and viewing some of its lovely cathedrals. This is Europe through the back door. This is the Tom Moore Castle, originally built in 1348 by Dan Vulcans. Legend has it that he was greeted by 3 cave trolls who fed him stew. When he woke up, he was inspired to build this castle on that very same spot. Nearby is the house of Salvador Gonzalez, the Spanish explorer who sailed here in 1533. Europe Through the Back Door is brought to you by the Lin Chen Foundation for the Arts, and viewers like you.
I've just received word. There's been a battle. The Calamane is burning in space. The invasion of Paisan and Miko was successful.
Don't believe you. I want to see Selena Ruth.
There is no such person. No one will ever know that you are here with us.
What must I do?
Nothing, really. Tell me, how many lights do you see?
How many lights? This is your last chance. Mary St. Cavendish and J. Ramundo are on their way right now. How many? There are 4 lights!
Why you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you. You complete me. Without you, what would I do? Go back to thieving from mobsters? No, you and I, we're a different breed. Where's Les Bird? If you want to find out where Les Bird is, you're gonna have to break your one rule. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they?
Want to give a special shout out to Troy. Troy sent Sierra and I a little present here, so I thought we might open it up, take a look inside, see what Troy sent us. Just want to thank you for sharing your experiences with the world and I. My company created this sunset pattern. I got them to include your logo and make a leash and collar for Sierra. Oh my gosh, Sierra! I hope it fits and serves her well. Troy, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Sierra, look at this. Look at this. What? This is so cool. Troy, I wasn't expecting this at all. Troy, look at this. Look how cool that is. And it comes with a matching leash too? This is fantastic, Troy. You ready to try on your collar, Sierra?
Good girl, go on.
I will defeat you, Sanwar. You can't possibly stand against my Adventure Archives livestream superfans, Aaron Jones.
In order to beat Sanwar, I've got to believe in the cards, just like my friends Ann McBride and Charlie Joe believe in me.
Draw your last pathetic card so I can end this, Aaron Jones. Jason Bourgeois' deck has no pathetic cards, Sanwar, but it does contain the unstoppable Dayton Hikers.
Dayton Hikers! It's impossible!
I've assembled all 5 pieces, all parts of Exodia. Dayton Hikers, take a hike!
Jason, I couldn't fit your shout out into my skit, so please accept this video of my cat meowing for treats. Jason wants to give a shout out to Carrie Larson and the West Coast Eagles.
Oh, Sam Porter Bridges. I didn't think Expedition Research LLC made it out this far. Listen, John Truitt wanted to get a shout out to his wife Lisa for helping him get healthy so he can go backpacking again. Also, Jasper Caparata needs you to get a shout out to Friends of NJSOC organization for keeping the New Jersey School of Conservation alive for future generations. You're the only one who can do it, Sam. We're counting on you.
Order assigned.
Oh, you know what we're gonna do is as soon as we can travel, we're gonna travel somewhere, and we're gonna share a pot of stew. One bowl, 4 spoons.
No spoons. Just lick it up.
Yeah.